welcome to Sword and Board. I'm Luke.
And I'm Lars.
This is two guys watching every fantasy movie ever made. Lars, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay. I am in Atlanta for work.
Atlanta?
Atlanta. I started my day at a campsite in North Carolina and ended my day in a bustling metropolis. So I am all over the place.
Nice. Hot
Yeah.
Atlanta?
Hot Atlanta. Yeah, it was when I was gonna go explore. I'm like, oh, I'll go out to eat and all this kind of stuff. And I got here and I'm like, I don't want to do anything. I am so tired. How have you been?
I'm good. We're just catching up on some stuff, rearranging, watching a lot of spooky Halloween stuff.
Oh yes,
It's
tis
it's
the
funny.
season.
Tis the season. It's funny. I'm not much of a hip hop person,
Hmm.
so you can imagine my delight and surprise as to me finding out that Edgar Allan Poe was actually the inspiration for the fall of the House of Usher.
So wait. Edgar Allan Poe is the inspiration for the
The
fall of the House of Usher? Of course, yes.
Yeah, I completely forgot that was a Poe story. I have been seeing ads for this for months, expecting some kind of weird documentary about the rapper Usher.
Ah, and the fact that you're calling him a rapper and not an R&B
Yes.
singer is clear
Look, I know nothing.
clear indication that you do not know anything about it.
Exactly. Right. Here's what I know about Usher. He thinks his genre of music is Michael Jackson.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
How
And Fall of House of Usher was pretty good.
I love Mike Flanagan.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that Midnight Mass was one of the best things I've seen in a very long time. I don't know if did you watch Midnight Mass?
Not yet. I really like Raul Cooley, and I haven't had a chance to to see it yet, but I've heard great things about it.
It is amazing. I like horror movies or spooky stuff that relies on good story and good acting. And I
Mm-hmm.
also I'm saying this as when I get off the phone with you, I'm going to be watching Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. So
Okay.
I go all over the place with my
Yep.
my tastes, but I really do appreciate a good, well crafted horror story, and
Uh-huh.
I feel like Mike Flanagan does a great job with that.
Yeah, I watched bits of Bly Manor, which was really good
Very
too.
good. Yep,
We also watched Renfield last night.
I like that one.
It was so good. It was exactly what I wanted it to be. It was perfect. It
Yeah.
was terrible. I loved it.
Yeah, it was lots of fun. We've seen a bunch of good ones. We really like No One Will Save You. It's on
No one will
Hulu.
save you.
It's a home invasion movie, but the invaders are aliens.
Nice. That sounds cool.
It was really good. Yeah, we watched there's been some good ones.
Yeah, yeah. We watched a kind of like a thriller. Don't worry, darling. Have you heard about that one?
Elizabeth really liked that one.
I liked it up until like the reveal, and like it felt like it just sucked like, all the wind out of its sails.
Oh,
And
bummer.
like everything just kind of, yeah, like we liked it up until that point, and it just fell apart for us. But I like it was really well acted up until then.
Cool.
So we got two more Halloweeny things tonight.
We do.
Starting us off tonight, we have 1999's Sleepy Hollow.
We do, yes. Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow.
When was the like? I've seen this a couple of times. When was the last time you'd seen? Have you ever seen this before?
Oh yeah, I saw it in the theater.
Really?
Yep.
I was mostly like, I enjoyed it. One of the things that I thought was really interesting was just the amount of that guys.
There are lots of that guys in this. Yep.
It's fun. I forgot that it's kind of fun. You know?
I saw this since Elizabeth and I have been together. I don't think that
Mm-hmm.
she'd seen it before. I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I was like, hey, let's watch this one. And so she wanted to watch it again with me for this. I really like this one. This is in my opinion, aside from Big Fish, this is the last good Tim Burton movie in my mind. I don't really like a lot of his movies lately, and this is the
Yeah.
last one that's like, yeah, this is a good one. I really dig just the feel of it. It's a horror. I mean, it's a gory movie. I like what they did. I don't know. I won't get too much into it. I know that we'll talk about it more. But initial impressions, I really dig this one.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I'm also looking over Tim Burton's filmography, and I'm like, yep, grinds to a halt after Big Fish.
Yeah.
One of the things that we talked about, Victoria and I talked about a lot, was it kind of, is this like the first movie that did like the intense washout of color? Because it felt like that the entire time.
It's you see it in like in Saving Private Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's very the color is incredible in it, and it makes the blood pop so much
Yes.
more when because it's a very bloody movie. Like it's heads will roll. It's about the headless horseman.
Right.
He's chopping people's heads off, and you see it in very graphic, over the top
Yes.
detail. But because it is so washed out everywhere else,
Mm-hmm.
it's just that much more kind of stark of a contrast. I don't know. I just, yeah, the original story. I think he's a school teacher, right? Ichabod Crane.
I think so too.
Isn't he like an effeminate kind of school teacher that like shows up in town and like he gets kind of picked on by like the locals and they make they're almost like telling him like there's a pool on the roof kind of story where they're like hazing the new person, and it just so happens
Right.
that like the headless horseman actually is real. I love that in this this is before Johnny Depp became eccentric just to be eccentric, I feel
Right.
like. And I really enjoyed him being a detective. So like they
Mm-hmm.
that was the adaptation, is that Ichabod Crane is a detective in this, and kind of he's ready to join the 20th century, and his
Right.
compatriots are not, right? So he's a man of science, and science is like still in like ill humors and like leeches and stuff like that kind of
Right.
mentality, and he's much, obviously, even the science that he's prescribing to is woefully out of date by our standards. He's a man of science, and I really liked that. There's a reason why he's so scientific and why he's like given up
Yeah.
faith, and that's all explored pretty well. And I don't know, it's not one that I like, oh, we gotta go watch Sleepy Hollow. It's not like on my rotation of Halloween movies, but I don't know, it's just a solid movie. I feel like it's creepy, and it's got some really good deaths, and I don't know
Yeah.
why
And
I don't watch it more.
right. No, it's yeah, it's creepy. It's got interesting set pieces. I love how, like, we talk about how there's a bunch of that guys. I just had him pulled up. I can't remember his name.
Well, the Palpatine's in it.
Yeah, Palpatine's in it, and Johnny Rico, and and Alfred, and
Rooney.
Rooney, and Dumbledore, and no, there's what's his name? The guy's name is Richard Griffiths, and he plays in that the father, one of the like the councilman people, I think is the father. It's just really funny, like how he plays the same role in everything. He just sits on he plays a sitting larger fellow.
Okay.
Do you remember who I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, well, that's what it feels like to him. He was Vernon. He was Uncle Dursley.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay. Him.
and
That guy.
it feels like in every movie he's in, he plays the same guy. He's just a heavier dude sitting down. And I've seen him do that in multiple movies, and I can't think of other ones off the top of my head now.
Gotcha. And obviously, Christina Ricci's in it. I don't know. Yeah. Like there's just there's a ton of talented people in it. A bunch of it feels like very, Tim Burton didn't call in a bunch of favors, but like, hey, I want to go work with these people again. I want to go work with Christopher Lee. I want to go work with
Right.
with Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken's a headless horseman in this.
Yep. And he
he has
does.
no lines, and just
Yeah, he's really good.
screams.
And he's creepy the whole time.
Oh
And
my
it's great.
God, yeah. I like the treatment of like witches in it and witchcraft. There's a good
Hmm.
mystery. I mean, yeah, a lot of a lot of really good things are going on in this movie. The score is really great. I mean, Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman is in the same caliber as John Williams. Honestly,
I
like,
agree. I agree.
maybe not in the same. Maybe he doesn't have the exact same. The only reason we don't talk about Danny Elfman as much is because he didn't do Star Wars. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
but I mean,
because
he's
the Star yeah.
no. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say the Star Wars theme is basically perfect, and like we talked about last week about having, you don't have to do much after you make something perfect, like The Godfather. Um, that's like the Star Wars themes is perfect, you know?
Right, yeah. And after that, you don't really need to. If you continue to make music, then wonderful, but you don't need to. It's funny, Francis Ford Coppola's name pops up in the credits. I don't know if you saw it.
I did. I thought that I laughed a lot, and it was a what?
I was like,
What?
wait, him again? Wait a minute. I just, again, with Tim, kind of with other directors that, or another director that has kind of became sort of not a parody of himself, but I feel like Tim
Hmm.
Burton is that now. It's like, hey, I'm Tim Burton and kooky and weird. This is kind of what I have to
Yep.
do. And Francis Ford Coppola is like, well, I'm a film genius, so I have to do this. This is why I say this is his last good movie. I feel like it's appropriately off center and off kilter.
Yes.
It's
Hmm.
appropriately dark, and it's not just being kooky or showy. It's it's doing a service to the story it's telling.
And it's not too stylized. Like that's for me. Like it is.
No,
It's very stylized, but it's not Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's not Dark Shadows. It's not stylized. Not
right.
isn't even the stylized isn't even the right phrasing. It's just not. It's not weird for the sake of weird.
Well, exactly, and I feel like that again. That is what a lot of his movies have become. Is just, oh, I'm Tim Burton. I have to do this,
Hmm.
which
It's like David Lynch. David Lynch has done a bunch of movies that are weird and crazy and creepy, and then he did that movie for Disney about the guy on the tractor.
mhm,
Same kind of thing, which is just a perfectly normal movie, or normal for David Lynch at least.
as normal as it could be. Yep.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
So
even
yeah.
even Big Fish, like Big Fish is a fairy tale. It's weird, but it was kind of accessible. It wasn't.
Hmm.
It didn't have like a bunch of German expressionism and Dutch angles and weird stuff. It was a fairy tale, and that's kind of that. I love that movie a lot. I don't know how you feel about
Hmm.
Big Fish. I love Big Fish.
Love Big Fish. Makes me cry.
Yeah, oh, 100%. But after Big Fish, then you get to the Alice in Wonderlands and you get to the Dark Shadows, and it's just, oh, I'm Tim Burton.
Mm.
This is kind of how I have to make a movie. And I'm not feeling that in this. I'm feeling it more like yeah, it's okay if it's kooky and weird. We're talking about a headless horseman. That's okay if it's a little off. It's servicing the story really well.
Right.
I don't know. It's really. I love the gothic like windmill stuff. There's a lot of like Frankenstein happening there, and old classic monster
Absolutely.
movies.
And the tree is just eerie and
Oh
and
yeah,
upsetting.
yeah, yeah. It was just again, it was one of those. I hadn't seen it in a long time before I watched it again with Elizabeth, and then now it's when I mentioned to her that hey, we're gonna watch Sleepy Hollow, she was like, I need to watch it again. So
Yeah.
it's definitely one of those that has become like, oh yeah, this is a really good one,
Hmm.
and good for this time of year.
Absolutely. So possibly the most. I don't know. I'm going to rephrase that. Um, Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus. I am fascinated by this movie
Okay,
in a lot of ways
let's hear it.
because okay, I remember watching it as a kid. I
Mhm,
remember liking it a lot as a kid.
mhm.
When and then it kind of fell off when I was in high school. Like I remember a lot of people like, oh yeah, Hocus Pocus was great. And then same thing all the way throughout in college. And then maybe around 2010, 2012, the fandom for it went nuts.
Mhm.
Does that sound about right? About that time frame?
Yeah.
Like it was always there, and then suddenly it exploded again. I think probably the rise of the internet, like not the rise of the internet, but the rise of social media and weaponized nostalgia. It is such a staple that we all remember around that time. And then I remember two phases of it, as I said, watching it as a kid, and then as an adult, it being everywhere around Halloween, and in a way that it wasn't before. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I remember. I mean, I grew up in the same house as you, so we obviously
Yeah.
watched it about the same amount of times. I thought it was a fun movie when I was little.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, amuck, 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 amuck. There's lines in it that I remember thinking were funny back then. I remember the cat, and it was a little boy, and I remember the woman on the vacuum cleaner. But it wasn't like it wasn't a foundational movie for us, I don't think.
Yes.
It
No.
it was and neither was Nightmare Before Christmas, to be honest. which I
Right.
think that also got to be really, really, really popular lately.
Yep.
And it was
Mm-hmm.
one that just kind of it wasn't that we didn't watch it. It just kind of missed our house. Like we just didn't we
Absolutely.
didn't we didn't it wasn't a Christmas Vacation. There are people that I know watched Christmas Vacation every single year for their entire lives, and it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
until I went off to go have my own family that we watch Christmas Vacation every year. And I think it's hysterical.
Yep. Yeah, I can remember. I can remember watching Christmas Vacation with you and Dad once.
Right.
Once.
Right.
And that's fine.
It is
I.
funny that and but to your point, so like I remember a girl in college, she really liked Hocus Pocus in a way that is
Mm-hmm.
more mainstream now. And it was like, oh, you remember the kid's name that was a cat? Which is it's
Mm-hmm.
Thackeray, right? Thackeray Binks.
Right. I remember
And
Binks. I could not remember the first name. Yeah.
but it wasn't like, oh yeah, everybody knows that now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I wonder why that is.
I remember reading some like I can't remember the article, but it was like some backlash where someone's saying it's this. It feels like it is a manufactured, as I said, the weaponized nostalgia. Somehow Disney found the right thing to for everyone to lose their mind over somehow, and we feel like it is now everywhere. I don't know. It's also a very strange movie in general. Like so I'm gonna contrast it with the second movie for a second.
Hmm.
I did not like the second one. I don't think the second one worked very well. And I think part of it was too toned down. One of the things like this is a kid-friendly movie. Like Hocus Pocus is a very kid-friendly movie. It is very I'm trying to figure out the correct word without just saying it's a very horny movie.
Oh yeah, I mean,
It,
Sarah Jessica
it's a
Parker wants to
very
play with
yeah.
boys.
The bus driver the whole time the bus driver's on screen. There's just this sense of it. They don't shut up about him being a virgin the entire time. It's very weird, and the second one doesn't have that, so it loses this weird. It's weird saying that about a children's movie, but it without having that, it doesn't work quite as well. I don't know. I really enjoy this, even as like a 36-year-old man. It's still fun because it makes me remember being a kid, so to speak. Something Victoria pointed out that I didn't notice because it's something I grew up with, but this is a movie from 30 years ago,
Hmm.
and it's Halloween, and everyone's wearing long sleeves because it's cold.
Yeah.
And you watch the second one, and no one's wearing long sleeves because it's October and it's not cold.
Global warming. Nice.
Yes.
It's funny. I didn't mind the second one. There's a real threat in the first movie. Like
Yes.
they're witches. They're going to eat you. They are trying to. They're
Mm-hmm.
trying. I mean, they kill a little girl in the first couple minutes. She's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't joke around with that. Like these are witches. Which again, it's a difference between kid movies then and now is that they're a little bit darker when we grew up, which
Uh-huh.
I appreciate. The second one, it I liked the new Ghostbusters movie.
Which one?
The not the Kristen Wiig one.
Okay.
The Afterlife. I liked it.
Gotcha.
It is different though because it makes this like heartfelt thing out of a very snarky movie, and
Mm-hmm.
like it's original Ghostbusters is like sarcasm. It's dripping with it and cynicism
Yeah.
and all of that, right? And what the new one does, it's this really heartfelt like love letter to Harold Ramis, and that's great. That's all well and good. What the second Hocus Pocus does is makes this like really heartfelt appeal to what the Sanderson sisters were,
Mm-hmm.
and that's again all well and good, but it also detracts from us being scared of them because they are witches. They are trying to eat you. They are trying to take
Yes.
your souls. And that's what I think the first one does very well is that these are as for all of the singing and silliness of it, I feel like Bette Midler is a scary witch.
Absolutely.
That's a good thing.
Absolutely.
she's I mean
Yes.
she's a scary witch. Is she the witch from the Dave Eggers The Witch? No, it's not that scary, but it's a real threat, and
Yes.
there's real stakes involved, even amongst the. I mean, I love that the fact that the parents are all dancing.
Yes.
So
I
that's such a good joke.
Yes. What's funny to me as something I love about Halloween movies is it's super rare to see licensed costumes in Halloween scenes. You see like a generic pirate or a generic knight or a mummy, but you never see anything licensed. Like you never see a character like a Spider-Man or anything. And I remember it was the only Easter egg kind of thing I saw is that there's a kid dressed up as Mrs. Potts at one point from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
It's the only one I saw, and like the crowd scene where they're all dancing is probably the best sequence in the whole movie, easily. Yeah, there's a threat to it that doesn't make sense. That doesn't transfer over because this obviously wasn't intended to have a sequel.
No.
And then 30 years later they made one, or 29 years later. It's hard for me to like reconcile that almost because the threat's over. How do they continue it? And they try and go in a different... They Highlander 2'd it. But we're talking a lot about the second one as well.
Oh, yeah, we are. Well, I mean, because it just came out. And honestly, we watched the second one just recently, too. It is funny that, like, the kids like the second one. I don't know how much they like the first one. I think they like them both equally, which is at least they like the first one. I'm glad that they like that one. I don't know. I still haven't... I've been waiting for them to find their own... thing. And they kind of have, but a lot of it's kind of sad because a lot of their thing is just newer versions of what we liked.
Right, and I get that.
You know, the Ninja Turtles movie was really really good. I liked the Mutant Mayhem movie.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it a lot.
I've heard nothing but good things about it.
It was really really good. It's probably the best Ninja Turtles movie that I've seen.
Nice.
I mean, it's not not a high bar there. But it's still a Ninja Turtles movie, and I think that Elliot and Eleanor really like the Spider-Verse movies a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
They're still Spider-Man, there hasn't been a thing that's come out that is like
unique to them.
Yeah,
I mean that's unfortunately the nature of the beast right now. It seems like because the last time I saw the last IP that I can remember everyone losing their mind over collectively that was unrelated to something in the past was Pirates of the Caribbean.
I was gonna say Harry Potter.
Well, I'm thinking like visual medium, like because like
okay,
the Harry Potter books. Yeah, I would agree, but those are based off the books, and same thing with like Twilight or a lot of those. The only like film series that I can think of everyone losing their minds over that wasn't related to a book or an existing property was Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, I agree with you there.
I don't know. I don't. Every time I start thinking about Hocus Pocus, I think about it's weird because it's very clearly a fall movie, a Halloween movie. It takes place over the course of a single night.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting. It is so 90s. It is one of the 90s-est movies that's ever existed.
Oh, with Ice, like the bully.
Oh God.
So good, so 90s,
and riding his bike, and I hate living here. Why'd you make me come here? Such an angsty child, which I mean I get.
Yeah.
But so there was one other thing. Like this is something I hadn't thought about before, but when they're trick or treating, and it's really cool and it's nice, and they go to Allison's house, and everyone's in like Revolutionary War outfits or like high class party.
Mm-hmm.
That's an Eyes Wide Shut party, right?
Yeah.
Like 100%.
Yeah, there are code words, and somebody is speaking for him, and someone died at that party.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the same time, that's the house I always wanted to trick or treat at.
Right. Well, and it just
they were giving away full size Snickers.
Right. Well, this again, it is a wonderful, for me at least. I love Halloween and I love spooky movies, and this is a great movie for us to be able to or for me to introduce scary movies to the kids. And there are, there's some parts where Eleanor still gets spooked out by it, but it's fun. It's not a slog, or it's not so scary that they're gonna hate it. But then also it's not. It's a good balance of hey, Halloween's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be this horrifying nightmare all the time. That goofy and fun has its place in Halloween just as much as the really really scary stuff. I love the ticking clock element. They have to get this done by this time. There's a lot of neat little just jokes that I still find funny. I still think it's funny when they go run to the cop for help and the
Oh
cop
god,
like
that's
takes down
great.
their information and then she gets on his bike and his date shows up and like, who are that? I don't know, some dumb kids thought I was a cop. And it's like, all the adults are dressed up. So he
Hmm.
was in a costume. Or like Gary Marshall shows up. No, I didn't know who Gary Marshall was when I was a kid, but now I can watch this and I know who that is, and that's Penny Marshall is his wife, and he's Satan, and just lots
Hmm.
of little fun, gags like that. And Bette Midler, I think, is pretty great.
One thing that I love about this movie, it's like Doug Jones's first movie, or at least the one that he like got
Yes.
most of his. And Doug Jones, I pop really hard for Doug Jones
Mm.
every time, and it's well, he's Saru in Discovery.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, it's just I love him. He's wonderful. I just want to see. I hope he has a long career. I love how like he cuts his mouth open and he's just like shit talking her the whole time. That's
Yeah.
great.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's a fun Halloween movie. It's not one that like again we watched it. I don't know if it was. I don't know why it wasn't like more popular around our house. It is
Hmm.
fascinating to me that there's so much merchandise for it now, and it seems like it has a nostalgic factor that it doesn't necessarily warrant.
Hmm.
I'm not saying
I
that
would
it,
100%
and,
agree with
and
that.
I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm not saying like, oh, this wasn't a good movie. People shouldn't like this. No, it's a good
Hmm.
movie, and I think that that's great that people like it. I don't remember it being part of like the cultural zeitgeist enough.
Right. That's exactly what I was trying to say earlier. Is that it doesn't. It seems like it just blew up within the past couple of years.
Right. I mean, I don't. Yeah, and again, great. There are plenty of movies that are way worse and are somehow appreciated far better. I don't, I was trying to think of, when you were talking about that, like what are some movies that, or, what do you think? What are some movies that you think are enjoying, a nostalgia factor that are not good and should not have a nostalgia factor attached to them?
I don't know. Like it's weird because we're constantly mining the '80s and '90s for the next thing that could to get a sequel or to get a reboot. I'm okay with some reboots because that's at least trying. I wish we would reboot things that didn't work properly and try again, try something a little different because you almost got an idea there,
Hmm.
but it doesn't. I don't know. Like I
You know what I didn't like growing up,
what?
and I thought was stupid back then, and I don't get why everybody likes it. Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, I don't understand it
I
either.
don't.
I've never.
I do not understand it. I think it's cheesy and not fun way. It was just dumb. I don't. I mean, I don't think you're gonna hear too many arguments about that. But like, so many people thought like that was just like such a. Oh, Zach Morris is awesome. No, he's not.
No.
He's stupid.
Yeah. I don't actually know. Like I'm trying to think of it. I'm blanking on everything, and basically, like it's the Disney catalog. Like their live action remakes are I think are the thing that I keep coming back to. If you're asking like what has an undue popularity, is not the Disney properties themselves, but them the soulless cash grab, so to speak. But I still enjoy them somewhat. Here's one that seems to be a zombie. For a time, The Simpsons may have been the best television that was on air.
Hmm.
Like in the early '90s, like the first from seasons like 3 to 9 were genuinely amazing. Some of the best television that's ever been produced, and then it's kind of limped along, and it doesn't quite work the way it used to. It's still funny, but I don't understand why it still exists so popularly. I guess
Hmm.
that's another one. Like a lot of the like Futurama, it's great. I love it. I wish that it would die. I wish that they had let it die. I wish Family Guy had died 20 years ago.
I thought that it did. I didn't realize it was still on.
Yep, it is still chugging along. I don't exactly know what I want my nostalgia to be. I'm okay with other people finding the toys of my youth and playing with them, but I don't know if I feel like there's a thought there, but I can't quite articulate
Well, and
it.
it's
I
also
don't know
it's
exact.
okay to not like the things that you liked when you were little.
Uh huh.
It's okay. You don't have to keep liking these things. Like and I have you can have a fondness for like I yes I really enjoyed Ninja Turtles when I was little. I
Mm-hmm.
don't watch the Ninja Turtles now unless I'm going with my kids. And if they enjoy it,
Right.
then that's great. But I'm not going to go sit around and watch a Ninja Turtles movie just like I can't I physically can't watch Marvel, like the MCU movies anymore. I can't do it. I've tried a couple times, like for some of the new ones
Hmm.
like post Endgame.
Yep.
I'm I'm
There,
kind
there,
of I'm
there's
kind of all done. And it's
Yep.
not superhero fatigue because I think that that's stupid too because like I hate that term like
Yeah, we mentioned it last week,
yeah, superhero
last time.
fatigue. Like no, it's not. I'm just kind of done with that kind of story and
Here's the okay. So Iron Man to Endgame tells an entire story, tells one complete story, and then there's more, and it's the exact same problem that the sequel movies have compared to the prequels in the original trilogy.
and the problem is
That well, so episodes 1 through 6 tells a complete story,
hmm
and then there's three more movies.
that yeah, right. Yeah, and because there's not a cohesive story that they're telling. At least, and maybe it's because I haven't seen all of the stuff. But I feel,
It's it
I guess it's like the
it's not.
multiverse saga. Is that what it's doing?
Yes, that's kind of what they're calling it, and that's fine. It's just I don't feel the stakes. Multiverse stuff immediately like sucks the stakes out for me in a lot of stuff, and I don't
Because in like in an infinite timeline, none of this is happening.
exactly,
And
and it
then,
doesn't matter. Yeah,
yeah,
um,
I tried watching the Eternals with Elliot. Have you seen that
I've
one?
heard nothing but bad things. I've heard nothing but bad
It
things.
was horrible, and so much of it because it's like a 2 hour, it's 240,
Jeez.
and like so one just the pacing gets off when you get into that kind of length of a movie. Like we're
Hmm.
not talking about like fucking Oppenheimer or Killers of the Flower Moon or whatever, right? Like we're not talking about a Scorsese epic that like going into it is going to be a different kind of movie. So okay, the idea of traditional pacing is going to be a little bit out.
It's people in costumes fighting on green screens.
This is a superhero movie. I'm not saying that every movie has to be the same. Absolutely not,
Hmm.
but have some like structure and have some beats and have like there's a reason why certain stories are told a certain way,
Hmm.
and when there's all these different characters that I really don't know about, they were trying
Hmm.
to do like it's the Eternals are, I guess it seems like they're more even more powerful than the Avengers. So
Right.
then you're trying to introduce all of these people all at once, and I don't know, it just was really sloppy.
Hmm.
It was just not like to the point where my son was like, "Can we just watch some Bob's Burgers instead?" It's like, "Yes, we absolutely can watch Bob's Burgers instead. I would much rather, yes, I'd much rather do that."
I forgot about this. Hocus Pocus is great. It's wonderful.
Oh
It's
yeah,
fun.
it's fun. Yep.
Um, yeah. So we're going back to the other conversation. I saw this the other day, and I can't really articulate the noise I made when I heard it because it seemed algorithmically generated to drive me insane. But apparently, there's going to be a Krull reboot.
A
Did
reboot.
you hear about that?
I have not.
Yep. Yes, by J.J. Abrams.
Which
Like,
on the one hand, like I could hear the words Kroll reboot and like you get like instantly giddy,
mhm.
and then you hear who it's by and you get instantly annoyed.
It's just like it was the anguish that just slipped out of my mouth when I heard that. I just lost my mind because he is a very good director for 15-minute increments. If he wants to make 15-minute Star Wars short films, I will be there day one on board. However, he can't tie scenes together to save his life. And I want to know what's in the box, JJ. I want to know what's in the mystery box.
He's
Anyways.
he's a good visual director.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't think that I'm not gonna lay the problems I have with the sequels on his feet, at his feet.
Absolutely. I won't lay all of them at his feet, but I will say that
Oh,
I
there's
think
some. There's definitely some.
yes.
He bears part
Mm-hmm.
of the blame. I think the whole like all of them bear a lot more of the blame because they didn't go into it with anyway. I could tell you
Yes.
all about the
That's a whole.
thing.
Yeah. That's
That's a whole other discussion. But um, uh, that's really funny that of course it's him.
oh,
Of
I
course
just
it's
like
him because it like because now you can't be excited about it.
Just immediately deflated.
Well,
You know, it's
and
that it's
also
that
like
few, it's
like why crawl? Why would you redo crawl? Like, because it wasn't.
now you're angry about it.
Well, no, because like and I'm saying this in a like I think it's great. It's not a people don't think it's great.
No, it's cheesy. It's terrible. Like
No,
it's a
nobody.
punchline.
It is a punchline. Nobody. It's a punchline in Pineapple Express.
Yeah.
James Franco, the stoner characters, and isn't that what it was? I think like Seth Rogen comes in like, oh, you're watching Crawl, and it's like, of course he is, because that's a stoner's like that's what they do. They sit around and watch Crawl.
Mm-hmm.
Like that isn't is that a movie that people are hungry to see? Is that a story that people are like, yeah, we should remake Crawl? Who actually wants that other than, me and you?
Yeah, exactly.
But
Just not
there's not a lot of
J.J.
honestly,
Abrams.
there's not a lot of you, Lucas. There's not a lot of you,
Yeah,
right?
I'm
So
aware.
so like bean counters, I can't imagine that that's something that they're thinking, oh yeah, we should remake Crawl.
Yeah, I
That's just
just
that's bizarre to me. That's what they're like.
yeah.
Have we filmed so much other thing? Like we've remade everything else. I guess we'll remake Crawl now.
Yep.
And also,
I,
why remake Crawl? Go make a new thing. Go remake
uh-huh.
something new. Like go make your own Crawl. Like your own,
Yeah,
and I'm not saying like
absolutely.
go remake Crawl. Like go remake your own thing that is like Crawl. Like go make a weird fantasy movie.
Well, so have you heard about Rebel Moon?
Which one's that?
I'm excited. I'm excited about Rebel Moon. It's Zack Snyder's new movie coming out. It was essentially he made a pitch to start for a Star Wars movie years ago, and it
Oh yeah,
got
yeah. I heard about that. Yeah, yeah.
and he's making a new sci-fi thing. That sounds awesome. Great. It's Zack Snyder may be kind of a terrible director at times, but he makes things look awesome, and I'm okay with more Star Wars adjacent content.
Yeah. It's like original stuff. Make original
Mm-hmm.
things. I mean, I would say that I think that Guardians, the first Guardians, I
It's
know it was an
great.
MCU movie. That was pretty original.
Mm-hmm.
That was an original take on on that kind of thing. You can do original movies and people will go watch them. Oppenheimer made, I know it's based on a real true story, but it was original script. And
Mm-hmm.
Barbie, obviously, I know it's based on Mattel, but that was an original script. It
Mm-hmm.
seemed to do okay.
Yeah, I heard it was really good. Victoria loved it. I just didn't get a chance to see it.
Oh, I heard it was really good too. I mean, I was making a joke that it did okay in the box office, but
Oh
I,
yeah, absolutely. I
yeah,
get
it yeah, it did all right. So I know,
it.
and
$1 billion.
yeah, people will watch good things if you give them good things to watch, and they'll watch original things if you give them original things to watch. And I just don't understand like why. And this brings us back to Hocus Pocus 2. Yeah, Hocus Pocus 2. I liked it. I know you didn't like it as much as the first one. I don't think it's as good as the first one either. Was that really a story that needed to be made? And
No.
is Krull the Krulling? Or the whatever it's going to be called,
Crawl 2, crawl harder.
the Krull to the Krullist. Well, but why? Why would you remake Krull? That's what I'm pissed off about now. Not that it's J.J. Abrams. It's that it. You know what you should. What I would love for people to do, like if studios, they're strapped for cash, with the writer's strike,
Mm-hmm.
like re-release old movies in the theater.
Yeah, like they did during COVID.
Is that what they
Like
did?
that was nice. Yeah, a lot of times they released to keep like theaters were releasing re-releasing old movies and because
Oh
there
yeah.
were no movies being made and yeah, that's fine. It's fine.
Do that.
Um,
Put Krull back in the
hmm
theater. I mean, I'd go see it.
absolutely.
And it's got to be cheaper than making a new movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Harump, harump, harump. And
uh,
it's J.J. Abrams.
I know that's it's just funny. Like, of course, absolutely. Why not? Um,
Just kick a guy when it's down. Why not?
okay, so I'm looking at the list now
Yeah.
because we've gone on off. I think most of this episode has been tangent.
Hey, that
Um,
and you know why? It's because usually when they're bad movies, we have lots to say about them. and just how
And they're
awful
both
they
pretty
are.
good.
And these are both actually these are really good. I would recommend watching both of them. One of them will probably actually make it now further into my Halloween movie rotation. The other one, Hocus Pocus, now that I have kids, it was already in the Halloween rotation. These are solid movies.
Absolutely. Yes. So, Sleepy Hollow, what are you thinking?
Oh, by the way, in
Mm-hmm.
looking at the list, I showed Elliot and Eleanor The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, part of
So
Halloween.
good.
They loved it.
Yep.
I picked because they were a little leery about it because it was, it's a mummy movie, it's scary, and
Right.
I pitched it to them as it was more like The Goonies. It's an adventure movie,
Yes.
and that got them to watch it, and they ended up they thought that I was right, that it wasn't. There's some scary parts, but it's
Mm-hmm.
more adventure than anything else.
Absolutely.
Which, yeah, and it's just really, really good. I really, really like that
It's
one.
so good. So
Um, I mean, now neither one of these is that level.
right.
I think so. Sleepy Hollow.
Okay.
I am gonna put it. It's gonna be pretty high up here, Lucas.
Yep.
I'm gonna put it. I don't think it's as good as Pirates.
Parts 1.
It's not as good as Pirates 1.
Okay. Is it better than A Knight's Tale? Because that doesn't feel right to me. I don't like that.
No, I think Night Tale's better.
Yeah.
I,
I
w-
think I'd probably rather watch Sleepy Hollow over Beowulf.
I would. Yep.
Yep.
I put it there.
Cool. All right. And Hocus Pocus. Here's the thing. I don't know if I can. I could also say I don't know if it's also better than A Knight's Tale.
You don't wait. You don't think it's better than?
I don't think it's better than A Knight's Tale either. I'm looking at it like everything else doesn't feel right. Like it's better. I think it's better than Sleepy Hollow.
I would put
What's
it.
up?
I would put it above
Oh,
Sleepy Hollow,
yep.
but I also wouldn't put it beyond. I would actually, if I had to say anything, I'd say it'd go Pirates, Knight's Tale, Hocus Pocus, Sleepy Hollow.
Literally what I was thinking.
Okay,
Yeah. Perfect.
great. Very two. And then
Great.
you know what? Let's just knock it all off since I already watched Hocus Pocus 2. We could put Hocus Pocus 2 down far on the list when we get
Yeah,
there.
I'm fine with that. We talked a fair amount about it.
We talked
Yeah.
about well this will be a three for Hocus Pocus 2. That's
I think The Witches is better than Hocus Pocus 2.
I think so too, and I think Hocus Pocus 2 is better
perfect.
than Black Cauldron.
Perfect. Sounds good.
There we
Got
go.
3 down.
Good. There we go. Oh man, Lucas, where can folks find us?
You can find us at basically any streaming platform, Stitcher, Spotify, whatever you want. Our theme music, Goblin Road Trip, is produced by the incredible Lillian Boyd. You can find her at Here Lies Lil on Twitter.
Our artwork is done by the wonderful Wes Forbes, and it's Halloween out there, y'all. I know that there is some dark things going on in the world, as always. Look out for each other. Try to enjoy this.
Take the joy when you can.
Take the joy when you can, and hopefully there's more treats than tricks on the 31st for you.
I hope so too. Everyone have a good night.